Well, welcome to the mostly ghost town, Pierce, Arizona. Let's have a look around and we'll start at the Mercantile store.
And before I begin telling you about Pearce, as with so many of these places we're visiting during this vacation, Mellody is doing a blog posting about it, where she gives more information than I do in this video about the town of Pearce, its history. So I recommend you check it out. There's been some good responses to her blog postings, so people are finding them worthwhile, and I'll leave a link down below. Old Pierce Mercantile is a 130-year-old general store built in 1895. The first merchants were representatives of the firm of P.B. Soto and Brother. Apparently, the C.M. Renaud family was also associated with the store, which missed by a few days as being the first one in town. The first Soto Brothers store was of lumber, but 2 months after its completion, the firm was planning a more substantial building. The Soto Brothers store was important to the town. The store manager, Tom Chapman, also served as postmaster. Chapman had served in the Kentucky Mounted Infantry during the Civil War. The store served as the mercantile and banking center of the town and employed 3 bookkeepers and 8 clerks to handle the needs of the miners, who were making $3 a day. Even as the town faded, the general store continued to serve local ranchers and an increasing number of nostalgic tourists. The business was purchased by K. Albert Roth in 1936 and 3 years later by Irving Cornish. Cornish sold it in 1942 to Dr. Raymond Doley, president of Lincoln College, Illinois. In 1968, it was acquired by Mr. and Mrs. John Thurman of Chicago. Thurman died in 1976, and his wife then ran the store. Since his death, she converted the rear storage space of the building into an apartment. Each of the 5 owners has insisted on retaining the 1890s fixtures and appearance of the building. In 1978, the general store was the only business in continuous operation since the town's beginning, and the only building which is virtually unchanged in over 80 years. Patricia Pearce bought the building with her late husband Michael in 1996 and finished restoration of the building in 2019. The store is listed for sale and is not operating at this time. It looks like from the outside they did a really good job restoring the building, and it appears they were trying to make it like a tourist attraction. And the selling price, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get that. I have to assume they put a good deal of money into actually refurbishing the building, but time will tell. During our visit, there was a woman who appeared to be the current resident of the Pierce Post Office, which was established in March 6, 1996. So I didn't really think it'd be polite to do a video of the front of the store, but I'll throw in some pictures. The railroad station opened in 1903. By 1919, Pierce had a population of 1,500. The town declined in the 1930s and became almost a ghost town in the late 1940s when the mine closed for the last time. The old post office building sits across from the Mercantile building.
And right across the street from the Mercantile store in the post office is the old jail. Let's have a look.
The Pierce Jail is one of 3 jails on Arizona's Ghost Town Trail, the other 2 being in Cortland and Gleason, and I did videos of them and I'll leave cards and links. This old jail stands near a companion building known as the Generating Building. Built around 1915, and it cost $615.45, it had 2 cells. It was built of layers of poured concrete reinforced by rebar and has a flat roof. 2 iron doors and 10-inch thick walls kept the building secure, while 6 windows provided some ventilation. The jail was used as a holding facility until the mid-1930s. The Old Pierce Preservation Association funded construction of the fence and a plaque. It is open to the public on the first Saturday of each month from October to May, or you can make an appointment. There's a phone number listed that you can call, and I'll leave it down in the description. Needless to say, we were not there on the first Saturday of each month, so you can't really see from this video what the inside looked like, but I would assume it is similar construction to the other two jails in the area, and I have a video of the jail in Gleason that I'll leave a link to, and you can get an idea what the inside would have looked like.
And maybe 80 yards from the Mercantile store, we have the old Roman Catholic Church.
Our Lady of Victory Catholic Church is one of the two places in town that's on the National Register of Historic Places, the other being the Mercantile store. It is located on 4th Street, just behind the Pierce General Store. The church was constructed sometime during 1916 to 1970 and is part of the post-territorial Adobe Revival period. After construction of this church, it became a mission of Solomonville. Then in 1918, its mission was changed to Tombstone. The church was little used during the 1930s, and little is known of it during the 1940s and the 1950s, but by 1961 it was no longer in use. When the town of Sunsites was established nearby in 1961, the area's population began to increase, and by 1963 the church was back in service. It remained in service until 1969, when increasing numbers prompted the construction of St. Jude's about 4 miles to the north. The church's bell was transferred to the new structure. The Diocese of Tucson sold the building to private parties, so you can no longer go inside. That's the video of just walking around the fence.
And luckily everything's convenient with it, virtually within walking distance, because now we're here at the mine. Let's take a look.
The lifeblood of Pearce was the Commonwealth Mine. The town is one of those classic mine towns that you find here in Arizona. It's on Walnut Street, and there was a mill associated with the town of Pearce. It's about 1 mile east of Pearce on Pearce Road. The Commonwealth Mine became one of Arizona's major silver producers. Over 100,000 tons of ore were produced from 1895 to 1942. There are about 20 miles of underground workings. The mine produced about $8 million worth of silver and $2.5 million in gold at a time when silver was priced around 50 cents an ounce and gold was $20 an ounce. The mining district was small, but the ore was rich, and the SP soon built a branch line from the nearby Cochise to handle the output of the 100 stamp mill. By 1904, it was necessary to pump 4 million gallons of water a day to the mill. A cave-in the same year added to the problems, and within months the town was nearly deserted. A new company acquired the property in 1909, and under a succession of owners, the mine worked sporadically until World War II. Total production for the district, most of which came from the Commonwealth Mine in the years from 1896 to 1904, valued $10.6 million in copper, lead, silver, and gold.
And right next to the mine, and 300 yards from the Mercantile store, is the Gold Rush House.
The classic miner's house that you're looking at has a nice story that associated with it, and not just particularly with that. With the gold and silver boom in Pearce, needless to say, a lot of people wanted to move to town and work there and try to claim their fortune, but they needed someplace to live. Many of them just took the house where they were living, tore it down, packed it up, and brought it with them, and assembled it here in Pearce. And this house that you're looking at is an example of that.
Our final stop in our tour of the ghost town of Pierce is a place where so many of us will end up, in a cemetery. This is actually two cemeteries here. One they call the Historic Prairie Cemetery, And then there's a modern cemetery. And generally I do a video walkthrough of the cemeteries. But this place is rather large. So I'm just going to do still shots and put them together in this video to give you an idea of what we're looking at here.
The Pierce Cemetery is a historic grassland cemetery located in southeastern Arizona, approximately 22 miles south of Interstate 10 and 50 miles north of the U.S.-Mexican border. Historical references to the burying ground indicate that it was existing in 1983. It accommodated whoever staked a claim to a spot. President Woodrow Wilson formalized the ceremony when he deeded 40 acres to the Pierce Lodge 21 of the Knights of Pythias in 1916, and it became known as the Sulphur Springs Valley Cemetery. In 1976, the nonprofit Pierce Cemetery Association took over management, and the cemetery was renamed the Pierce Cemetery. The cemetery is divided into 4 sections. In the historic section, C1, is the original burying ground, and around it are the graves of folks who built the town of Pearce and worked so hard to help it prosper and grow through the gold and silver mining boom of the 1890s through the 1920s. The earliest currently identified graves date back to the late 1890s. The earliest inscribed markers are for 1900. Burials in this area stopped in 1960, though lots are still available today for direct descendants of these old families. In section C2, the new section, burials started in 1969. In this area are the folks who spearheaded a second boom time around Pierce as the destination retirement community built by Horizon Land Corporation. Horizon began sales of town lots in the 1960s, established a new area a few miles north of Pierce called Sunsites. They formally withdrew from Sunsites in 2004. Sections C3 and C4 were set up around the year 2000 and are used for new burials.
Well, thank you for watching the video. Hoping you found some interest in it and were touched. And it's different from my usual kind of videos, but I just wanted to share because I don't think many people are getting out here to Pierce, Arizona, of Cochise County. So if you found it worthwhile, let me know in the comments. Maybe give it a like up, thumbs up, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell and all the stuff everybody always says. Well, thank you for watching as usual, and have yourself a blessed day.